Today we're going to take a look at Dante, a Defender that started its life in 1997 in Italy. Hi, I'm Paul with Helderburg, and today we're going to talk about Dante, but Lucy's with me, emotional support here, and we're in a different location, and there's cats, there's squirrels, there's dogs, so I've got to keep, her nose is moving right now too, so that always makes me a little nervous. But anyway, let's get in and talk about Dante. So Dante originally started its life in 1997 in Italy, right around Portofino, and I have a lot of people ask, a lot of you do ask, I'm like, well, where do you get the Defenders? Are they originally right-hand drives and you convert them? And I want to answer some of that before I get into specifically Dante. The answer is we source left-hand drive Defenders. So it's getting harder and getting much more rare to be able to find a left-hand drive Defender, but that's what we do. So we start with the proper vehicle, we completely strip it down, we go all the way down to just a bare frame, and then start building the frame back up. So a lot of people know us for numbers matching, collectible Defenders, and this is no different. So Dante, we built this for a gentleman in Rhode Island, and he wanted black. And I will tell you, we've done so many black Defenders over the years. I said, Stephen, is it okay if we play with that black and do something a little different? He said, yeah, that's fine, as long as we do black. I want a black exterior and a black interior. This paint, though, is a paint you definitely need to see in person. That's what everybody says when they visit us in Sharon Springs, New York. It's like, wow, the pictures in the video just simply don't do it justice. And this is no different. This is a black pearl metallic. That's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't a color code that we took from Land Rover or Range Rover or any other manufacturer. We played with the colors. So as it's in the shade right here, it's definitely a dark black. But when you get it into the sun, it has a grayish, bluish undertone. Not like there's also a beluga black too, but it's not like that. Again, it has a really interesting gray undertone with the metallic. This is a 3-stage paint job. That's all we do. We do a concourse level paint job. So the clear coat is very thick and it makes the paint look much deeper. And then it also really saves you if you get some scratches, if you need to buff it down over time because the paint is very thick on here. So this is a normal Helderburg ride height. There is really no lift on here. It's a little higher than a standard Land Rover, but not by much. And it just has a really nice stance. If you notice a lot of like Alex, if you didn't watch Alex, which is a D90, which we just did recently, and it has the wider arches. This has more of the standard arch here, so it doesn't stick out as much. And then of course the tires don't stick out as much. So this is more of a, it's a dual purpose. It will do great on-road, it will do great off-road, because you just should expect that from a Land Rover, that you don't need all the big tires and everything to do anything great off-road. This one, this is definitely a mud terrain tire versus an all-terrain tire, and it gives it more of that aggressive look. But again, the black, all solid black, and then right here I can see the metallic, I can see the blue and the gray where the sun's coming down on it. And then we did accents too. For example, the billet aluminum door handles in silver, but I kept the hinges, the billet aluminum hinges, in black because it would just look, it would basically look like a teenage boy with a can of spray paint painting his hinges, and just wouldn't look right, it wouldn't flow. But by doing the door handles in the billet silver, it gives it a nice little pop. The brackets on the windscreen, also billet aluminum. And then of course the windshield wipers are black too, versus we could have done those in silver. So, and then the actual hinges on the bonnet here are also black billet aluminum. Another thing you'll notice about this build too is it does have the Puma bonnet that I always do pretty much. I've only done the recessed one a couple times. This just gives it a beefier looking stance. It gives it really kind of a rugged elegance. I coined that from somebody, by the way. They were explaining the Helderburg. But we also did the louvers. The louvers that we cut into the bonnet serve no purpose other than a style cue, because Bugatti used to do louvers, as did Jaguar, so did Bentley. So many, many years ago, that is. So that's just really a style cue. This is, you'll see this on a Helderburg, but you just simply won't see it on any other build until they start copying us. All the vent work, this is all black billet aluminum too. And then of course the grille is black billet aluminum. So everything's black except for the door handles. And then the actual metallic silver in there just makes everything flow. There's one thing you probably didn't notice while you're watching this video and you're looking at the truck. And let's see if you know what I'm getting ready to talk about. And I'm talking about color, of course. What I'm talking about is the roof. The roof is also done in a silver metallic, and it's really interesting. This is a Chorus gray metallic, which is a Land Rover color. But this color, if I was to do this Chorus gray metallic on a different color vehicle, for example, like if the vehicle was red or if it was a blue, like a medium blue, this would look much brighter than what it looks now. But when you put it with black, it's a very subtle thing. And that's what I think is important when you're designing a Defender, that nothing should look like it was added. She's getting excited here. I could see it. So, but nothing should look like it was added or an afterthought. Everything should flow. So let's go around to the front. Let's talk about some things on there. Let's talk about what the drivetrain is. So now that we're at the front of Dante, I'm just going to let you take it in for a moment. And again, you'll see what I mean about things flowing, that things should flow together and look like it was meant to be. So something as simple as the letters on the bonnet. I mean, I could have done this in a black. A lot of times we do the letters in black, but I felt it was very fitting to do them in silver to, again, match the billet aluminum door handles. So if you introduce one color, you need to let it pick up throughout the truck, and that's what we've done. Letters here, the door handles, the roof, the rear galvanized corners. So it's those type of things that bring it together. But here with the grille itself, so talking about the grille, I mean, you see me do this grille a lot, and this simple reason is it's my favorite grille. So this grille is from Germany, and it's metal. That's what I really appreciate, is it's a metal grille. I just simply don't like plastic parts. And a lot of the grills that you see on the Defenders that have been restored, where it's got the slats, that's plastic, it's made, it's not great quality. And when you're doing a build to this caliber, I feel like that every little detail is critically important. So metal grille, and then you'll notice I almost always do a bump out. So this bump out does serve a purpose. This serves a purpose for us to put the larger intercooler. This is a turbo diesel in here, but we have a much larger intercooler. Normally the intercooler sits right over here and it's about this wide, but our intercoolers are this wide. So we're getting a lot more fresh, cold air in there, which helps the vehicle in its low end and mid range. And it makes a huge difference when you upgrade the intercooler. And also the air conditioning unit, the condenser and all that stuff is right here. So the bump out serves a purpose, but it also serves a purpose in the aesthetic of the vehicle. Instead of the grille being completely flat, it gives it some more dimension, and it gives a nice contrast, because where we do our own headlight surrounds, which this is in billet aluminum right here, and so metal versus plastic, because what you see in a lot of the builds is plastic headlight surrounds, but this is all metal. And then of course it has the Helderburg cutouts on it. And then the marker light, the turn signal is in a smoke, which makes nice, you know, a nice even contrast versus I could have done a clear. And then the bumper that I really appreciate. And again, it gives it more dimension because it has that arch, it has the ears on the sides, and it is a very heavy grade metal. So makes a big difference. So just kind of taking it in. Headlights, you see this on pretty much all Helderbergs, which is the broken beam LEDs, which just, again, gives it a different contrast. But just take a look at this. I mean, it's just, I find it to be stunning. It's simplicity, it really is, but it's the kind of vehicle that you can walk around and go, oh, I didn't notice this, oh, I didn't notice that. Even the rivets, which I talked about on Alex. And again, if you haven't seen the video on Alex, which is a D90, go watch that video next, because that's also a very stunning build that we did some different things that are not on this, and of course we did some things on this that's not on Alex. Even the spray washer for the headlight, for the windshield here, isn't done in billet aluminum. It's a unique little design, and it gives a nice fan spray on the windscreen. That's simply not something that you would see on other Defenders, but it's the little things that make all the details. All right, so let's go around to the back. Let's talk about that, talk about the side. So we had to put Lucy inside. She was drawing an audience with squirrels, dogs, and people. Figured it's better for her to be in there. So the one thing I forgot to mention when I was around the front was the drivetrain. So this is a 300 TDI 5-speed manual. It is performance tuned with the larger intercooler, a VNT turbo, 3-inch stainless steel exhaust system, custom built injection pump. I mean, it drives really well. And I'll tell you, the 300 TDI is a very desirable engine throughout the world, and it's becoming more and more desirable because we're at the end of that era, meaning that 1998 was really the end of the 300 TDI. So they're getting harder and harder to find, and it is a mechanical fuel injection. It does not have a computer. TD5 is the next series that has a computer. And it reminds me a lot of Porsche. For example, Porsche created the 993, which was from 1995 to 1997, and it was the end of the air-cooled Porsche. And after that, they went to the liquid-cooled. At first, it wasn't very desirable. People didn't really care, like, whatever, it's a 993. You could pick them up for anywhere from $25,000 to maybe $45,000 in really good condition. Well, people caught on, they got nostalgia, and they said, oh, I've got to have the 993. It was the end of the air-cooled. And the prices on the 993 went from like $35,000 to $45,000 up to really price point entry now is around close to 100, and if you get the turbo, you're well into $250,000. So with the 300 TDI, it feels like the same thing is happening with that because of that mechanical fuel injection, end of the era. The 300 TDI is also a beautiful motor in the sense that it gives you so many different options to tune it, get more power out of it, and it's extremely, extremely easy to work on. You open the bonnet, you look at it and you're like, oh, well, this is simple. It's a motor, and I can figure out what I need to do. So any DIYer can work on one of these, and any mechanic with just a little bit of knowledge can definitely do whatever's needed. But again, they're bulletproof. I've seen many of them go for 700, 800,000 miles with minimal work done. So talking about the side, let's talk about the wheels. The wheels definitely stand out. These are a lightweight wheel, and anytime you do less unsprung weight, you can definitely feel it in the driving. So these are a lot lighter than, say, for example, the Sawtooth, which is a very popular wheel. It also has a really good look, I think. The only drawback on these wheels, these are called bowlers, is you don't get to see the red calipers as much, but this one does have the Helderburg performance brakes, which is a 6-piston in the front, 4-piston in the rear, and then it has the cross-drilled rotors. So this has some serious stopping power. I mean, it stops on a dime, and when you do get to see that little red caliper, it is definitely a sight to be seen. It is quite pretty, but you kind of lose that pop of color. And then again, where I talk a lot about flow in the design, the red calipers, and then of course we have the red tow hooks on the front. So everything needs to complement. And you'll see I carried the red on in one other place, and I'm not talking about with the Leica sitting on the bonnet with the red and black strap, but inside you'll see where we carried that on. So I'll just kind of let you take it in, but everything here, I mean, and if you look at our rivets, you'll see that the rivets were actually put in after the vehicle was painted, so there's no buildup of paint around our rivets. And then of course it has the billet aluminum filler cap. This has some heft to it. So if you go to fill up with diesel and somebody tries to mug you, you definitely have a weapon right here. This thing is heavy, but the big thing is hopefully Stephen will not forget his filler cap when he fills up, because it is a pricey little option here, but it has a really nice heft. And whenever you fill up the fuel tank, it really makes you smile, because it's much better than the plastic filler caps. So kind of take it in, and let's go to the interior and talk about the interior. Again, we kept everything very monotone. So we're at the interior of Dante, and Lucy's a very clingy dog. She thinks she's a lap dog, just so you know. This is pretty much the way she is 24/7. But anyway, talking about Dante, you'll notice black interior, but it does have the gray stitching, the diamond stitch. The seat style in here is a Puma style, so it's a bucket style. It's very reminiscent of a classic Porsche, like a Porsche from the 80s. Very comfortable seat. Another option that you can see on Alex, again, if you haven't seen that video of Alex, go watch that video, because Alex has a different seat style, which is the MK2, which is much more of a, I guess, a little more modern looking, a little more sport inspired, but it still works. It doesn't look too sporty, let's put it that way. So Puma style seats, diamond stitch down the side, or down the center and on the sides here. It does have the wood steering wheel that everybody loves. This one actually has the black spokes, the black aluminum spokes, and then the black billet boss right here behind it. Everything's wrapped in leather. So the dash is wrapped in leather, the instrument binnacle, the steering column, so all leather here. And then we have the billet aluminum, again, the silver billet aluminum that you'll always see on a Helderburg around the gauges. This is LED backlit gauges, billet aluminum on the top heater vents. So everything flows, even the heater switches right here. And then you'll see on the actual instrument binnacle around the gauges here that we have the epoxy, I guess you could say, indicators telling you which way fresh air is, which way heat, and then the fan too. I've already mentioned it's a 5-speed manual, and then you'll notice the big screen in here that has been really popular. And it fits the way we have it positioned. It fits well, it looks good. And this one does have the amplifier in it. It has the subwoofer. It's a good sounding stereo. I did mention that I carried the red on. Of course, you probably see this already. So we do have the red seat belts. Again, just carrying the color around to give the interior a little bit of a pop of color. The headliner is an Italian Alcantara suede, and then the hands-free mic is right here in the headliner. Again, when you're looking at a restoration, what you'll see on the vast majority of a restored Defender outside of Helderburg is you'll see this little, like a lapel mic, like what I'm wearing right here, will be mounted right in there. And it just, that didn't really work for me. I wanted it to really just look like it's part of the vehicle, like it was meant to be. And then the courtesy lights, they are LED, which gives a really nice bright white light, or you can switch it and then you have the option for a red light, which is easier on your eyes at night. What else can I tell you about it? The floor mats, I did a contrast gray in here just to match the stitching, but I think something that's really stunning, really pretty, and this is not the first time that you've seen this if you've watched our videos, but it's the mahogany flooring. So let's take a look at the back and talk about the center-facing bench seats. Now that we're at the back of Dante, I'm going to point out a few things. The first being the backup camera is built into the license plate light. Has a really nice feel. It's billet aluminum. It just has some nice heft. A lot of times what you'll see for the backup light is plastic, and it's not that it's bad. It's just the little touches that add to it, and when you're walking around the vehicle, you're going, oh, this is cool. Rear corner brackets, this is a staple. You'll see this on a lot of Helderbergs, and the reason that I do this is because I'm really showing how everything was disassembled and reassembled. So again, normally you'll see these, and on some other builds you'll see the paint build up around the corners where they just sprayed everything together. I like all of the parts to be painted separately, and then you assemble the Defender. A Defender is much like a Lego set, and if you don't have the Lego Defender, you should order one on Amazon or something. But again, all of the pieces and the parts go together individually, and that's what makes for a much nicer paint job. Moving on to the bumper, this is the side step type bumper. Normally what you'll see is an NAS style bumper that is one solid bumper all the way across with the receiver right here. I like this one too. I do like the NAS. NAS has a rubber step. This one, the step is a little wider, it's a little more substantial. It makes it easier to get in and out, which this is definitely going to be used for a party vehicle. That's my feeling, that's what I understand. So step more substantial to be able to get in and out. You can still add a receiver here if you decide to tow. Really easy to do. It's 4 bolts and you're good to go. Leather on the rear door here with the stitching that matches everything else. And then of course you can't miss the mahogany flooring that's in here, and then the mahogany tracks that are right here. So if it was a little darker, you'd be able to see the LED lighting. Under the tracks is LED lights, which lights up the floor. When it gets a little darker, it's a really nice accent. And then there's LED lights that run across the black Alcantara suede, which is Italian Alcantara, by the way. But it has the warm glow of the LED lights that light up the headliner. And again, it gives the cabin a very nice touch. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you think? Is black the color that you would want, or is there a different color that you would want, whether it be a Helderburg or just what color do you like? And I gotta say that I haven't done a lot of the black ones in a while. We've done a number of black ones, but take a look at, again, I'm telling you again, take a look at Alex. Alex is a D90, and see what you think about that color. Because I think about the gray tones, and then the black, and then the white, and it's just, I mean, why not? You just need a collection of every color. So check it out, and if you like this video, just share it with somebody, and I'll see you on the next video.